Our daily Bible reading for January 9th. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. We'll begin reading in verse 17 down to verse 30. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says, You fool, will be liable to the hell of fire. So if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you be put in prison. Truly, I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, You shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. A few thoughts for today. Those who have ever dealt with tradition know full well the difficulty of changing anything that is entrenched in people's minds. Much of what Jesus dealt with in the way of teaching was the traditions of the Pharisees and Sadducees. But it was much more than that. The term fulfill in essence meant to complete. Jesus came to complete the law. Another meaning of fulfill could be to teach or fully carry out. That was Paul's duty as he tells the church at Colossae. We read in Colossians 1, Of this church I was made a minister according to the stewardship from God bestowed on me for your benefit, so that I might fully carry out the preaching of the word of God. Colossians 1:25. As Jesus teaches on the hillside, he opens up the old law of Moses and the prophets in a way that had never been done before. Teaching of the true meaning behind the commandments, from the roots of murder to where adultery begins, the heart. Jesus addressed the very motivation for obedience, not external acts, but internal submission of the heart. The smallest letter, the jot and the stroke, the tittle, were parts of the Hebrew letters. Though small, were nonetheless important. Jesus said that not even these would be taken from the law until their fulfillment. When Jesus gave up the ghost on the cross at Calvary, all that the prophets had foretold to happen was fulfilled as well. Hundreds of prophecies from the Old Testament gave us a unique picture of the coming Messiah, from the town of his birth to the last piercing of the spear. On the road to Emmaus, Jesus relates these to two men who walked with them to show that all that had happened was by design. A question of the day. Is it easy for you to distinguish between tradition and doctrine? And finally, a thought to meditate on today. There are ceremonial, judicial, and moral aspects of the old law that Jesus effected with his fulfillment. Think on those changes today and the liberties you now have as a result of those. And those are our thoughts for today, January 9th.